So I read a lot of books this year. Some of them were good, some of them were bad. And although I'm not totally done reading for the year, there's only one book I have left, and I can already tell it's not going to be on the. I mean, I'm enjoying the book, but it's not going to be one of the best of the year. But I've narrowed this down to the four books I enjoyed least, and the five books I enjoyed the most. I'll start with the ones that were the doozies of the year. And first off was Jaws. So I mean, everybody knows the name of Jaws, that movie. Well, it was actually based off a book, which I did not know. And I read that book, and the book was just super disappointing. You read it, and it feels like one of those just like trash 80 books. It felt awkward. It didn't really flow. It didn't have a good ending. Didn't have good. It was just bad on so many levels, and I really don't have anything good to say about it. This is one of those situations where the book is not better than the movie. The second thing isn't a book, it's kind of a series. So when the Dune movies came out, they decided to release the books, the first book, as a 3-part graphic novel series. And so I was like, okay, well, I love Dune, let's give this a try. The first one was okay, the second one was less okay, and then by the time I finished the third one, which I believe it came out this year or last year, I was just left with, there was nothing about it that was like real stand out. It was kind of just bland, mediocre, like fine if you want a real dumbed down version that's not overly enjoyable. Like maybe if you were a kid and you just didn't really want to think real hard and you just kind of wanted to read through something that was simple and easy just to kind of have something to do, I guess. But for anybody who actually enjoyed the book or the series of books, this wasn't it. The third one, and I imagine there's going to be some pissed off people here, it was Dead House Gates. I love Gardens of the Moon. Memories of Ice was amazing, and Dead House Gates was just not. Like, I had to suffer my way through it. I did not enjoy it. I did not get into it. I didn't like the characters. And I obviously, for those of you who know, Fellison has, a fantastic story arc, but that didn't make it any less annoying. There was just so much that I was just like, okay, now I feel like I should go back and give it a reread. I understand that, and whenever I go back and reread the series, I'll do that, but Gardens of the Moon, I've read it twice, and the same time, I remembered what happened. I just wanted to read it again just because I enjoyed it so much. But now that I've read Dead House Gates, I was like, man, that was not good. The Memories of Ice, I was a really big fan of. And then the fourth book of the series, Malazan, for those of you who don't know, is a book called House of Chains, which was better than Dead House Gates, but was not as good as Gardens of the Moon. It's just kind of slower. But we're talking about the list of bad. So bad was Dead House Gates, not House of Chains. And then the fourth book, which was the worst that I've read this year, was a book called Haru. It's a graphic novel. It was meant for middle schoolers, but I just don't think it really had any actual audience. It was very poorly written, and it felt like they tried to throw in a trans character just so that they could say that it was a trans character. Like, it wasn't very well written, and there just wasn't. The characters were just super whiny and unlikable, and it was just, I hated everything about it, except for the art. The art was fantastic, but, so not everything about it. Whoops. Now we can get on to the best books I read this year, and I'll start from worst of the best to best of the best. At place number 5 is a graphic novel series called Kanto, or Kanto. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Kanto just sounds silly, so I say Kanto. Maybe that's wrong. I don't know. But anyways, this is a 5-book graphic novel series about a tin man who his heart has been taken by an evil wizard. And I loved the aesthetics, I loved the writing, I loved the characters, I just really liked this. There were some parts that the art was just a little bit inferior, but still, as a whole, I really enjoyed this series. Number 4 was a manga series, or manga, which I typically don't like the art style and the story writing of the Japanese style, the Korean style, the Chinese style. I just don't like the way that they tell stories. I don't like the way that it looks. But At place number 4, we have Demon Slayer, which was phenomenal, and it's weird because I typically don't like things that everybody else likes, but this is legitimately a good series. The only thing bad I can say about it is, there's, well, we'll talk about it some other time. But it really was an amazing story. It didn't drag on. It really got the job done. You really cared about the characters. You even care about some of the demons, which, just for record, isn't really like real demons. They're more like zombies or vampires or something like that. But anyways, really enjoyable read. Just super enjoyable. At spot number 3, which, once again, I hope this doesn't make anybody super mad, but was a book called Memories of Ice, which was book 3 in the Malazan series. It was phenomenal. It was well written. A lot of stuff happens. Maybe the only thing I could say bad about it, and you'd really have to stretch this, is it just kind of felt like it was long. Like it kept going. But it's not like you're bored though. I mean, you go from high to high, and it's just like, right when you think, okay, finally, I've reached the climax of the book, we can wind this thing down. It just keeps going. You're like, wow, there's so much happening. Really a good book. Place number 2 is Witchwood Crown, which barely didn't make first. Okay, barely. Tad Williams, you beautiful person. I've loved Ostenard for a couple years now, but some of these people are diehard fans. They've been a fan since like the 80s or whenever it came out. I wasn't reading books this big back then, but with this book, Witchwood Crown, Tad Williams starts a new story arc in the same Ostenard world, and it is just phenomenal. It's at times it's so hard and painful what you see happening, and you want people to just stop being stupid, but honestly, the character development is even better than the original series was. And the story is, it's the same writing style. It's that same slow classic fantasy, but it is just such a good story, such a gripping story. I really enjoyed this book. Like I say, it would have been first place if it wasn't for To Kill a Mockingbird. Guys. Like, I know a lot of people feel like they have to have like obligatory racial books on their list just because like they want people to know that they actually care and stuff. That's not what this is. This isn't me trying to appease people. This legitimately was such a fantastic book. And the way that you follow the kids as the story is developing is just such a fantastic way to tell the story because it's such a weighty issue. And you see the corruption and you see the way that things are happening and you get frustrated and you wish there was something you could do, but just like the kids, there's really not much you can do. And this thing has already happened. And even when it seems like there's a glimmer of hope at the end, there's a subversion there and just so many different things about this. And I don't want to ruin this book for you, but if you haven't had the chance to read this, go read it. It is just phenomenally written, fantastic story, just everything. I have zero to say bad about this book. This one and Witchwood Crown, I had zero to say bad about either of these books. They are, in my opinion, just flawless. They're just perfect. They are just perfect. And like I say, it was just barely that To Kill a Mockingbird won over Witchwood Crown. So I would recommend you go check out these two books, okay? Witchwood Crown is a fantasy book in the classic style, so it's a little bit slower. And To Kill a Mockingbird is a historical fiction set in more of, like, the 1900s in America. And I'll just kind of leave it at that. And it's oh my goodness, just... I wish I could tell you how I wish you could get words smart tell you good. Like, it's just, these books are just so good.